Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaum Vishnu Pada Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Ashtottara Sadasha A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Srila Prabhupada Ki, Shri Gaur Nitai Ki, Shri Shintai Sachi Sutta Ki, Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Ki, Shri Radha Paraseshwara Ki, Transcendental Book Distribution Ki, Srila Prabhupada's Transcendental Book Marathon Ki Jai, Grantarashima Bhagavatam Ki, Gauda Premanandi, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamiti Namani Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nivasesha Sanyavadi Pashtachare Shatarine. Jai Shri Prabhupada. So we already welcome the devotees who've just arrived from the Mayapur just now, but welcome again. And today, probably, a little bit of admin work to do, a little bit of organization to do. We'll see what happens as the day unfolds. We hope you can settle in and it's not too austere. And anyway, we'll take it as it comes. We're reading today from the Srimad Bhagavatam, from the 8th canto, chapter 8, text number 2. The title of the chapter is The Churning of the Milk Ocean. And we see out of the milk ocean all kinds of creations or manifestations take place, auspicious. We've already heard how the appearance of Sarabi from the churning of the milk ocean took place here day before yesterday or a few days ago. And today we're going to carry on with this subject of the churning. The demigods and the demons are both invigorated. Lord Shiva has drunk the ocean of poison which was produced, this hala poison, and he's drunk that, so now the demigods and demons are very enthusiastically churning the ocean and hoping to get nectar. People are very busy in this material world, you could say, churning sense gratification, fighting with each other, jostling with each other, trying to get nectar. The amount that people get is like a little drop of water in an ocean, or a drop of water in a desert, I could say. But this churning is a little bit, you could say, a little bit more significant, universal effect is taking place here, not just some localized result of someone's karma. They're getting a little bit of pleasure from all their intense endeavors of working hard, struggling hard. The demigods and demons are struggling like anything. Their intention is to get the nectar. People, same thing in the material world, it's like that. So text number 2, is it on the board today or is it not on the board today? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Just before I forget, you see there's a rack here with books on. This is generally for people who come during the day, because oftentimes there's no one here when guests come, no devotee around. And oftentimes they take a book, and as you see, there's a little notice up there in English, French, and Bengali, asking, please feel free to take a book, but kindly give a donation. No specifics, they're all small books. Please don't take books from here for Sankirtan or anything like that, or for reading. This is specifically for that reason, only. If you, on the spot, you do, but please, best to replace it. Otherwise, we're going to be double entering scores, because we count how many is there, then after a few days we'll count again, like that. And for the normally called honesty box. Huh? So let the honesty box do some Sankirtan. Text number 2. Tam Agnihotrim Vishayaha Jagrihuhu Brahmavadinaha Yagyasya Devayagyasya Medhyaya Havishe Nipa Tam Agni Hatim Rishayo Jagrihor Brahmavadinaha Yagyasya Deva Yanasya Medhyaya Havishe Nipa Tam Agni Hotring Rishayo Jagrihor Brahmavadinaha Yagyasya Deva Yanasya Medhyaya Havishe Nipa Tam Agni Hotrim Rishayo Jagrihor Brahmavadinaha Yagyasya Deva Janasya Medhyaya Havishe Nipa
Vishenripa
Tam Agnihotrim Rishayo
Tamagnihotim Vishayo
Jagrihor Brahmavadinaha
Jagriyo Brahmamadina
Yagyasya Deva Yanasya
Yayasya Devayanasya
Medhyaya Havishenripa
Vidyaya Vishenripa
Tamagnihotim Rishayo
Tamagnihotim Rishayo
Jagrihur Brahmavadinaha
Jagrihor Brahmavadinaha
Yagyasya Devayanyasya
Yagyasya Deva Yanasya
Medyaya Havishenripa
Medhyaya Havishenripa
Tamagnihotim Rishayo
Tamagnihotim Rishayo
Jagrihu Brahmavadinaha
Jagrihor Brahmavadinaha
Yagyasya Deva Yanasya
Yagyasya Deva Yanasya
Medyaya Vishenripa
Medhyaya Havishenripa. Ladies.
Tamagnihotim Rishayo
Tamagnihotim Rishayo
Jagrihur Brahmavadinaha
Jagriyo Brahmamadina
Yagyasya Devayanasya
Yayasya Devayanasya
Vidyaya Vishenripa
Vidyaya Vishenripa
Tam, that cow.
That cow
Agnihotrim,
Agnihotrim
absolutely necessary
absolutely necessary
for the production of yogurt,
for the production of yogurt,
milk and ghee,
milk and ghee,
to offer as oblations
to offer as the oblations
in the fire.
in the fire.
Rishayaha,
Rishaya,
sages who perform
sages that perform
such sacrifices.
such sacrifices.
Jagrihu,
Jagrihu
took in charge.
took in charge.
Brahmavadinaha,
Brahmavadina,
because such sages
because such sages
know the Vedic ritualistic ceremonies.
know the Vedic ritualistic ceremonies
Yagyasya,
Yagyasya,
of sacrifice.
sacrifice,
Devayanasya,
Devayanasya,
which fulfills the desire
which fulfills the desire
to be elevated
to be elevated
to the higher planetary systems
to the planetary systems
and to Brahmaloka.
and to Brahmaloka.
Medhyaya,
Medhyaya,
fit
fit
for offering oblations.
offering oblations.
Avishay,
Abhishek,
for the sake of
for the sake of
pure clarified butter.
pure clarified butter.
Nripa,
Nipa.
O king.
O king.
Translation, and there is a purport by Srila Prabhupada. Shukadeva Goswami continues. O King Parikshit, great sages who were completely aware of the Vedic ritualistic ceremonies took charge of that Sarabi cow. Which produced all the yogurt, milk and ghee, absolutely necessary for offering oblations into the fire. We have a Sarabi at New Mayapur. Is she producing all the milk, ghee and butter and yogurt for the sacrifices?
A lot.
To people in general, this is a complete waste of energy, isn't it? What's the use of... You're producing milk, butter, yogurt, ghee, and you're just throwing in the fire. A waste, no? We can say we're throwing it into the fire of digestion also. That is also a waste in one sense, unless it's for the right purpose. Isn't it? They also, as we mentioned the other day, they throw so much milk products into the ocean. overproduction. Huh? And we described a little bit about some of the usages of milk products the other day in this world we live in. But here we see that the sages were very eager to get that Sarabi cow. The demons were not so. I mean, what would the demons do with a cow? You know what they would do with a cow. Because the demons in past ages were not so fools as they are nowadays in one sense. They also understood the importance of Brahminical, somewhat at least, not to follow it exactly, but to take advantage of Brahminical culture, and some of them did, some of them didn't, depending on time and circumstances, but they understood these principles of how to achieve success, or more success in this world. And many times the demons, in fact this whole pastime is related, isn't it, to Bali Maharaj and how he conquered the demigods, head of the demons. But he conquered the demigods. Jai Shishintai Sachi Sutta Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Radha Parasishwar Ki Jai. Because he worshipped the Brahmins. From a Tejas, the Brahmins are very powerful, and when you please the Brahmins, you could say you please Krishna. And Krishna bestows his blessings. And the demigods, Lajendra particularly, defended his spiritual master, so they were on the retreat. They were actually being defeated by the demons. So this is the turnaround of events, you could say. But generally speaking, the demons, they see everything for sense gratification. It's not that the demigods don't either, but they see it in relationship with Krishna, and they do it in the way that Krishna recommends. So Krishna recommends that we perform sacrifice and to him. And so the demigods, although they're materially attached, they also want the nectar. They're also after material, mostly they're Sakama Bhaktas. They worship Krishna, they believe in Krishna, but like most people who are a little theistic, they may approach God in some way or another, but they're generally speaking materially inclined. They want material results, generally. And the demigods vary. Some of them are pure devotees, most of them are not. Most of them are materially attached. And they want to enjoy the fruits of their work, but they know that the fruits come from Krishna, and they know that Krishna is ultimately the supreme Lord, and everything's meant to be offered to him and done for him. So they know they're devotees, but they're materially attached, like most, even amongst themselves, to a large degree. We're also expecting something from Krishna in this world. So they're different, just a different mentality. The demons, even if they know Krishna's God, they want to get rid of him. They want to attack him. They're opposed to him. Sometimes that demoniac mentality comes into the demigods' minds too. We see that with Indra sometimes. He turns on Krishna quite severely, even though Brahma challenged Krishna. Brahma Vimohana Lila. He thought he was more powerful than he actually is. And it was proud. A little pride came in. Pride means that we're seeing ourselves in the center. And we're actually opposed to Krishna. So we'll finish this. So it's amazing how their main reason wasn't so that they could have chocolate. Well, if we get a good Sarabi cow, we're going to have really good chocolate here. Right? That wasn't their motive. It wasn't their motive that now we can, wow, we can really enjoy ghee now. Chavaka Muni said, beg, borrow, or steal ghee, but somehow get ghee and enjoy. That wasn't their motive exactly. Although maybe behind it, but in a more bona fide way. Doing it in a way which is, if you really want sense enjoyment, this is the way you do it. Now that's a Sakama Bhakta, the Karma Kandya section of the Vedas. Do also include that, offerings to Krishna to achieve one's material intentions. We realize we can't get it on our own. So they're kind of like, a kind of bribery in a sense. They approach Krishna. So here they are, of course, we can't say that about everyone. Some of them may be pure, unmotivated intentions for the welfare of all and for the pleasure of the Lord. So another angle of the same thing. But generally the demigods have got this material motivation. They employ priests to achieve their purposes and so on. And they're always afraid of losing their positions, as this pastime also is related to. They did this just for the sake of pure ghee. Pure ghee. There's the essence of the products of the cow is pure ghee. Pure ghee. Which they wanted for the performance of sacrifice. Why? To elevate themselves to the higher planetary systems up to Brahmaloka. Typical motivation of people who are a little bit, not just in the, kind of could say, completely in the mode of whatever, passion and ignorance or something, but they have a little idea there are higher planets and it's much nicer up there. The weather's better. The weather's better up there. The rooms that you stay in are nicer. Everything's nicer up there. Even if, it's materially nice, which people are always aspiring for. Nice material facilities, right? I don't know if anyone woke up. Matthias from Italy also arrived yesterday, and Bhakti Sar Prabhu also arrived yesterday from India and Italy, and they've come for the period of a month or so, or whatever, some weeks, to also join us in the yajna. This is the yajna. They want ghee. I've told the devotees to cook in ghee. When we're offering offerings to the deities, sometimes you can't get it. Some parts of the world it's understood. But when it's available, we should always make the offerings to the Lord in ghee. Krishna likes ghee. As we see here, it's the make pure ghee for performance of sacrifice. So, and devotees also. We should try to offer Krishna ghee when we cook for the Lordship. Not that it should be like an ocean of ghee. Sometimes it's like an ocean of ghee and there's something floating in the ocean. You're not sure what it is. It's been fried so much you can't tell. But but using ghee for the offerings is essential, most important. If it's available, and it should be used carefully. Ghee is like everything, like the blood in the system, the most essential production, you could say, the blood is the semen in the male body, at least. And it should be careful. It's considered to be extremely valuable, not to waste it. So we shouldn't waste ghee, particularly ghee. And sometimes we don't really know how to use it so well. We use too much, or we cook in such a way that so much ghee is wasted. So it should be carefully preserved and not wasted, because it is very valuable. So there's a purport by Srila Prabhupada which we'll read. Sarabi cows are generally found in the Vaikuntha planets. The Vaikuntha planets, as we all know, probably, maybe not. We have Vaikuntha Ekadashi, for those who are from South India, coming up, is on Gita Jayanti Day. Vaikuntha Ekadashi, where they have this idea that just to perform Ekadashi that day, perform Yajna that day, you're going to go back to Vaikuntha. It's a nice, special day where anyone can come along, and back to Vaikuntha you do go. Well, maybe Krishna can do anything, but that's not with love. That's not the real intention of just getting what you want. But life is meant for doing what Krishna wants. That's the real yajna. Sacrificing our own materially motivated intentions, just like so many people, even Balalingam Prabhu looks like you're ready to go to Sabrimala in Kerala. Have you been there?
I've never been there. I'm going next month.
It looks like you're going there next month.
I just got an invite last week.
These endeavors are related to this pastime, the churning of the milk ocean, because anyway, it's a long story. The form there of Lord Shiva, Lord Vishnu, they worship. Anyway, it's the whole thing. And it was supposed to be produced. And And it's for material motivations people go there. They want elevation to heavens, or their liberation, or something or another. Material reasons people go there. It's not selfless reasons. Sarabi cows are generally found in Vaikuntha, as described in the Brahma Samhita. Lord Krishna, on his planet, Goloka Vrindavan, engages in tending the Sarabi cows, Surabir Abhipalayantam. Very word, Goloka, means the planet of the cows. Gokul, place of cows. These cows are the Lord's pet animals. Nowadays, of course, everyone has, if they have a pet at all, they have what do they have?
Dog.
A dog is very common, and cats, sometimes some other animal. Sometimes they keep a human being as a pet also. So they have pets. They like to pet. They like to, feel like they're the protector and the enjoyer, the friend, and what have you. It's another form of self-centeredness. That's okay. In the spiritual world, Krishna himself is the enjoyer. He is the friend. He is the object of pleasure and the origin of pleasure. So everything, in one sense, is meant for his pleasure. But he particularly, Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahmanya Hitaya Cha, particularly the cows are very, very dear to him. From the Sarabi cows one can take as much milk as one needs. Generally speaking, a cow may provide whatever it does. Some cows give a lot of milk, relatively a lot of milk, but not as much as you need. Well, maybe as much as what family needs, but not in terms of all that the needs are there. One Sarabi cow can provide all the needs, and not just milk. They can provide other things too. We see Vishishta, he had his Kamadena, his Sarabi cow. He even provide soldiers to protect anything. The Sarabi cow is like a Kalpavriksha tree, and provides whatever is needed. But specifically, of course, cows provide milk products. Milk is necessary for the performance of yajna. And again, back to the point in the beginning that people don't understand this at all. They don't see any point whatsoever. Prabhupada quotes oftentimes this famous Mayavad impersonalist Swami. What is the use of this Tulsi worship? Why you grow Tulsi? You better grow eggplants. And they see everything materially. They don't understand what the point of it is. Missing the point of human life, totally materialistic. Maintain the body. What for you maintain the body? What's the use of maintaining a body? What's the use? We have to, of course we have a responsibility to do it for various reasons, but what's the real use of it? What's the point? If you simply remain in ignorance, there's no real value of any kind, just causing our own perpetuation of our own suffering in this world. The purpose of the human form of life is jivasya tattva jignasa, performing, to inquire into the nature of the absolute truth, to perform yagyas, tato brahma jignasya. Now that we've come to the human life, we're supposed to perform a sacrifice for Lord Vishnu, inquire, and Yajna Vai Vishnu sacrifices are meant to be performed for Lord Vishnu, not for anyone else. Everyone else is like a limb of the body, part, but it's not the same. If we think the limb is the whole, or we go to the limb trying to get some specific benediction, then we remain in the material world. We're in ignorance. So real yajna is meant for the pleasure of Krishna. It's one of the challenges of being a vegan. What do you do? I often wonder what they do when they do their abhishek. Pardon?
What they do when they do the initiation. But they put in the fire and they get in the initiation, vegans.
That's a good point. Maybe they don't get initiated. I don't know. I mean, everyone can make their own choices. That's an individual thing. But in principle, how can you perform these yogas properly without milk products? Of course, the demigods, they're not going to harm a cow, generally speaking. That's totally against their principle. Or harm any living entity. I was listening yesterday, Prabhupada said, a devotee is one who doesn't harm any living entity, even an ant. Well, to speak of a cow who's so dear to Krishna. People may say, whatever they may say, but, it's not our business to interpret what Krishna likes and what he doesn't like. Just because we don't. That's another indication that we think we're God. That we can impose, these things upon God's position. Now, what's special about a cow? Or what's special about you that you can say what's special about a cow? We don't have that. How can you say to someone, what's special about this person? Why you like them? You can say that, but it doesn't mean anything. You know yourself. If you like someone, you like someone. Simple as that. You don't have to have someone, logically interpreting why or why not. It's something you actually have, feeling in your heart. So God, the Supreme Person, Krishna, the Supreme Personality, he loves his cows, and the cows love him. They live for his pleasure, and he lives for their pleasure, you could say. Milk is necessary for the performance of yajna. Sages know how to use milk. They know how to use it. Perhaps we do, perhaps we don't. I was mentioning the other day that we sometimes waste milk products. I've seen those throw whey away. It's kind of a double word usage. They throw whey away. You know what whey is? What's whey?
You make the paneer and get the butter.
Yeah, when you make the paneer. Everyone wants the paneer. You bring around the sabji with the paneer in it. They say, give me the paneer. I don't want the potatoes. Give me the paneer. Right? Isn't it? Many times you see this. Give me the paneer sabji. Well, that's a contradiction. That's not a, what's the word? I mean, there's no such thing as a paneer sabji. Paneer is not sabji. Sabji means vegetable. You can put paneer in the sabji, but it's not, you can say, for descriptive purposes we use it, but it's not really a paneer sabji. It's a sabji with paneer in. I don't want the sabji, I just want the paneer. Okay. The whey, no. Someone bring the whey. No, I don't want the whey, just the paneer. Whey is very, very valuable. Of course, if it's made with chemicals, everything's made with chemicals practically, but it's not so good. But normally the whey is very valuable. I mentioned a few of the usages of it the other day. Even making ghee, we mentioned the other day that the residue when you make ghee is also very valuable. Of course, if it's all chemicals and stuff, that's something else. But traditionally, they don't put chemicals in the milk and the yogurt when they make ghee. Pure. So if there's any residue that comes there, any solids that come out of the churning, it's the churning form of churning of the milk, they're all very valuable. They all have their part to play. Every single part has a part to play. We just have to know how to utilize it. And whey particularly is very valuable. I take the whey and leave the paneer many times. You can have the paneer and I'll take the whey. Yeah. Anyway, different things. Whey, I saw in the room that you are going to be staying in, that Bhakti Sar's, I think, going to stay there also. The previous occupant, Pujari here, had to leave because of visa. He has a big container of whey. There's nothing in it, by the way. So, but anyway, the container's there. So he's taking whey products. Why? Why do all the bodybuilders and the athletes, why do they take whey?
Build muscle.
Pardon?
Protein. To build muscle.
Proteins, yeah, they get strong. So that's where the strength lies, is in the whey. And the cow product, the whey is the key feed. They take the whey out of the milk when they process it nowadays. And then they sell it back in these containers at a huge price. then they put some chemicals back in to make it, put a bit of the sweet. Lactose is the sweet aspect of the milk. They put that back in a little bit so it tastes nice, and add some chemicals and some protein, some whatever, artificial vitamins and what have you. But cow milk itself is complete. But I would say you can live on cow milk in its pure form. Everything's there. But they take it all out, process it. There's nothing left much. They break it all down and they reconstitute it according to the financial profit. And then they add a few things so you think you're getting milk. Anyway, this is how they tamper with Krishna's arrangement for financial reasons. And anyway, we mentioned these things the other day. For the Sarabi cow, one can take as much milk as one needs, and one may milk these cows as many times as he desires. Do that with Gomata and Sarabi. You milk them like 50 times a day. No? How many times? 2 times. Okay, that's not bad. 2 times a day milking. Mostly it's 2 times a day milking cows, morning and evening. But here, as many times as you want. Now, because the karmi is trying to do that. They're trying to squeeze everything they can, day and night, whether it's sex, money, sense gratification, you name it. Constantly trying to squeeze. There's hardly any limitation to the amount they want to squeeze pleasure out of this world, material world. And the spiritual world, as much as one likes, it's not that, as much as Krishna likes, everything is for Krishna's pleasure. There's no time influence in the spiritual realm. Time is the controlling factor of material life. Everything's controlled. So we have to learn how to use time. Time is a form of Krishna, kind of a manifest form in a sense, who controls everything in this universe. And we have to learn how to use time properly, as well as the products that are created in this material, apparent creation in this world properly. We also have to use time properly. Well, time is a controller, as you could say, of time I am, Krishna says. So, hellos, me. We have to utilize time properly, so we have to learn how things are meant to be utilized in time. That's why regulation, Veda, Yajna also means sacrifice, means regulation also. It means doing things in the proper order. So, and it includes, of course, milking cows. You don't just milk willy-nilly. If you go to the doctor and you have an illness and they give you some prescription, they tell you when to take the medicines, right? Isn't it? Usually. You take 1 tablet after your meal 3 times a day, or whatever it is. You're supposed to, if you don't do that, maybe it won't be effective at all, or it won't be so effective, or it may cause another problem. You have to follow the prescription. So there are prescriptions given in the Vedas of how to do things, including cow protection, bull protection, engaging the bulls, etc. Everything is guided there, how to do it, or it's passed down by, here rishis who know how to perform these particular sacrifices. So everything should be done properly, not just whimsically. Oh, we can milk the cow anytime I feel like it. That's how people think, in a sense. They want sense gratification any time of the day or night. Especially sex life can be like that. Animalistic propensity, can't control their senses, or smoking. You see, people, they can't live without smoking. Huh? There's one man came here the other day and said, "Is it okay if I smoke?" I can't. He couldn't go any longer without smoking. He sat here for 30 minutes. He went outside and smoked. They can't, it's like it's material passion, Itch, exactly. Itch. They can't control the itch. Sages know how to use milk to elevate human society to the perfection of life. That's the key, you could say the key line here. Sages know how to use milk to elevate human society to the perfection of life. We're not here just to enjoy it for a few years and then another lifetime somewhere. We're here to go back to Godhead. So if you mistreat those who are dearest to Krishna, how on earth can we go back to Godhead? You can't. And if you want to get, even materially, if you want to get some benediction from somebody, but you insult their wife or their child or their best friend, you will be their worst enemy. More than if you insult them. But unfortunately, this is going on every day. Hundreds of thousands of cows are slaughtered, only for human consumption. What to speak of other animals also, or other creatures. There are 8 billion other living entities slaughtered every day for human consumption. 8 billion every day. That includes all forms, fishes, chickens, birds, animals, all added up together. That's as many as there are people on the planet. 1 per person. And I guess it'll increase proportionally. If Krishna, if it's somewhere or another, according to karma, according to the need, it's still happening until it's not tolerated any longer. Give them a chance, but only so far, unless people wake up. Since cow protection, so they don't have a clue, and you ask anyone what's the purpose of life, they will never. Hardly 1 in a billion will answer anything more than a material one. Some have a very selfish motivation, and some a little bit more broader, and some a little higher, but rarely does anyone say the perfection of my life is when I'm Nyabilasitashanyam Gyanakarmadhyanavidam Anukulena Krishnanushilam. Does anyone say that? No. Even devotees, they may say it, but they don't follow it. We're not always thinking of the pleasure of Krishna. We're not always thinking without any motive other than, pleasing Krishna. Usually there's some other motive in what we do. We're not on that level, although we know that that's the proper, let's say, practice. But nobody thinks like that, hardly. Everyone's speculating according to their karmic condition. Last line. Perfection of life. Sanksidhira haritoshanam, to please the Lord. Since cow protection is recommended everywhere in the Shastras, the Brahmavadis, the sages, they took charge of the Sarabi cow. Taking charge means they protected the Sarabi cow. Taking charge of the cow or the bull doesn't mean you just keep them in a shed somewhere so the Indian people can come and give donations. And you can maintain your ashram. Indian people may do that. We're not saying they shouldn't do that either, but that's not the goal. The purpose of the bull is to produce grains. That's their service. It's like you're saying, we got devotees, we don't let them do any service. It's cruel to engage them in service. Is it? They may think like that. I'm being exploited. I'm being exploited. Why are you asking me to do this service? Why don't you do it if you want it done? Service is a privilege. It's a gift to go back to Godhead. The more service, the better. And probably listening to him yesterday said the devotee should want more and more and more service. That's the constitutional nature of the soul, is we're eternally engaged in service for the pleasure of Krishna. This material world takes a little time to realize that, but that's our business, service. We're greatly fortunate to have service, because that's the way that we please Krishna. We want to please Krishna, then we must be 24 hours engaged in different types of service. We have to know what the broader sense of that service is. Even the Bhagavatam recommends we should live a healthy life, maintained properly. But in principle, our business is to serve the will of the Lord. So here you see that the key is here, sacrifice. That sacrifice will help us to attain, and there's no other sacrifice like Sankirtan Yogya. There is no other one in this age of Kali, the performance of Sankirtan Yogya, because ghee is not always available. Even if it were, we don't know, there's no qualified Brahmins to properly do all of this. So in Kali Yuga these things are there, and we should take whatever little advantage, or let's say, apply them as much as we can, but the primary sacrifice is Sankirtan, chanting in public. Sankirtan chanting together is complete, means bringing everyone in. I was listening to a short lecture last night, and the way of saying how, reciting, describing how Mother Yasoda captured Krishna and bound him up. She didn't do it alone. Interesting aspect. She ran out of ropes. Alone we can only do a little bit, but she then engaged all the other gopis. Bring ropes, bring ropes, bring ropes. They all brought ropes. Hundreds and hundreds of meters of ropes were there. And together, they, in one sense, she took advantage of everyone else's association, and then she was able to bind Krishna. So Sankirtan's like that, to engage everyone else in bringing pleasure to Krishna, then Krishna's pleased. Not just me or you, but everyone. Everyone should be engaged in the service of Krishna, because they belong to Krishna. They're meant for that purpose. Learning the art of utilizing everything for Krishna's pleasure. If Krishna wants it, we accept it. If he doesn't want it, we don't accept it. But we may not be on that level yet, but that's the idea. Since cow protection is recommended, the Brahmavadas took charge of the Sravi cow, in which the demons were not very interested. Not very interested. They're not very interested in chanting. They're not very interested in worshipping the deities. They may be for material reasons sometimes, but no, we learn how to worship the deities the way that they'll be pleased. We don't just concoct. Oh, I like the deity. I was in one temple in South Malaysia many years ago. It's a Saraswati temple. And she had a guitar, dressed in jeans with a guitar. Can you believe it? What type of mentality is this, you know? Unbelievable. Concoctions that people come up with. Offering him what I like, not what he likes. Or her. So, Sankirtan is for Krishna's pleasure. So today, some of you will be going out on everything's Sankirtan because it's for the pleasure of Krishna, but particularly to do the yajna, this Prabhupada book marathon, to distribute books or chant the holy names, etc. Yajna by Vishnu. For the pleasure of Lord Vishnu. So pray that he gives us that mercy to engage in this service. We're not the controllers or doers. Our business is to perform our service. And whatever result, they're meant for Krishna's pleasure. If some fortunate souls receive Krishna's mercy, then so be it. And even if they don't, Prabhupada speaks, that even if they don't take the book, if they simply see the book, they get benefited. If they touch the book, they get benefited. We used to go along touching people with the book. Don't do that as your service, however. Oh, I touched 10,000 people today. You know, I showed the book. I stood like this all day long. Millions of people saw the book. Not as good, but it's not the real point. We want to change people's lives and engage them in the effect, the activity of hearing about Krishna, or hearing about the process to become Krishna conscious. Great sacrifice. Go out into the, I don't know what the weather's going to be, a bit rainy probably today, a bit cold, a bit rainy. Great sacrifice to share this real nectar. This is the real nectar that comes out of the churning. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. There is no marker, but it will be text number 3 onwards. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So normally we have breakfast now, but nothing happens as normal as we'd like it to be in Paris Temple. You cannot guarantee that everything will be as hoped for. We do our best. And then after that we'll have to discuss what's required for the devotees, for keeping them healthy and warm and everything else. So we'll go over to the latest VIP room.